In this understated RPG, you don't play as some heroic tanky paladin, or some magic missile juggling mega mage. You're a far more humble Roadwarden. A what now? A Roadwarden is a part ranger, part traveler, part enforcer. You're essentially whatever you need to be depending on the context. As a representative of a nearby large cosmopolitan city, you're tasked with visiting a seldom travelled backwater known simply as the Peninsula. Your job is to scout out the various settlements, assess their worthiness for trading, and generally make the area safer for commerce. In the beginning, you'll get to choose from one of three major classes: fighter, mage, or scholar. Each, of course, comes preloaded with some unique benefits that you'll get to access throughout the game, and this makes for some good degree of replayability. Add to that the fact that there are so many branches in this giant leafy tree of a game that you'll never see everything there is to see in one playthrough. The world building is quite spectacular. The excellent writing does a remarkable job of painting out towns and townsfolk with elaborate detail. The fantasy world is evocative, filled with beasts and monsters that are at once familiar and also entirely novel to the world of Roadwarden. It's a good thing the writing is great because there are large walls of text, so make sure you enjoy reading before you pick up this game. Aside from the colourful text, the graphics are fairly basic with a minimal colour palette. They show only the environments and add very little to flesh out the adventure, leaving a lot to your imagination. I will add that the soundtrack by Nick Roder is fantastic. Its moody, minimalist vibe perfectly suits the world of Roadwarden, and I find myself listening to it outside of the game all the time. Time is a major game mechanic. Every day starts at dawn's crack, and you have about 14 hours to conduct your business before night falls, and this time shortens as the summer draws to an end. Travelling from place to place is a big time sink, as is just about every other action from clearing some brush to exploring a settlement and brewing alchemical concoctions. Your time as Warden on the Peninsula is limited to one summer, so there is an element of time pressure in trying to check off your goals. I felt this pressure quite keenly almost all of the time, and it factored into every decision I had to make. The other major mechanic is stat management. The visible ones are vitality, hunger, armor, and cleanliness. Various decisions you make add or subtract from each of those stats, and that then factors into the range of available choices you'll have at other points in the game. For example, people will find it harder to trust you when your cleanliness is 0, and you basically smell like a musky blend of horse dung and troll urine. Trust is a big factor in your success as Roadwarden, as higher trust opens up the range of possible interactions with a person or situation. You can gradually earn people's trust by running their errands. Most of these are fairly mundane fetch quests. Go here and deliver this message to so-and-so. Collect some herbal flowers for me. Go there and nail up this sign. There are some larger quests that span multiple characters and locations. For example, one major plot arc is your effort to find out what happened to the previous Roadwarden, and this mystery will take weeks of travelling, investigating, and cajoling before you're ready to solve it. The life of a Roadwarden is not all guts and glory, but there's something refreshing about how down-to-earth this whole game is. Your lack of amazing superpowers, and the pedestrian nature of the tasks you're given, makes the whole thing feel real, and as a result it ultimately helps the emotions hit home harder. The early game is pretty brutal. You come poorly equipped with literally just the horse you rode in on. Everything costs money, and everybody gives you the unwelcome side-eye as a stranger from a big city. Shelter and food are essential, yet you'll have scant access to either. Most monster encounters gradually involve making yourself as inconspicuous as possible, or galloping away on your horse to avoid certain death. I spent a fair part of the game penniless and weak, and I think that vulnerability is core to the Roadwarden experience. Decisions are done well. There are plenty of meaningful inflection points in the game that have repercussions which ripple throughout your many different interactions. You'll quickly find that it's impossible to please everyone, and best to have a clear idea of what your agenda is, and who your friends and enemies are. Making it up as you go along is doable, but it leads to inconsistent results. Besides, this is a role-playing game, so it's best to play a role. Are you simply there to do the job you're assigned, or do the trials and misfortunes of the various people you meet move you to their assistance? I will say, save scumming is a very real possibility in Roadwarden. You can save and reload at nearly any time. Faced with any critical decision, you can just hit quick save, play it out a bit, and then if you don't like it, or want to make sure you're getting the best outcome, simply quick load and make a different choice. I had mixed feelings about this. On the one hand, it makes the sometimes arbitrary nature of the decisions a lot more forgiving. One wrong turn isn't going to condemn you forever. On the other hand, it removes the potency from the decisions that you make. Save scumming allows you to always emerge with the best outcome every time, and this didn't really feel true to the design intentions of Roadwarden. In summary, the closest analogy I can think of is that this is a text-based, choose-your-own-adventure version of The Witcher. You're a guy who wanders around a fantasy realm, taking on various tasks, talking to people, forging alliances, and clearing out monsters. You could immerse yourself for hours in the extensive fantasy lore, and will probably get more out of the game if you do. The many varied decisions you have to make throughout the game feel consequential, and as a result it's easy to lose yourself for hours in this world.